Pokopia is the next big cozy game coming out on Switch 2. It is a mixture of Pokemon, Animal Crossing, little Dragon Quest builders in there. And we actually brought someone on that has played Pokopia, like literally has played it. Welcome in, Rogers Base. How's it going, man?
Thank you for having me. It's going really well. It's interesting that you didn't say Viva Pinata, because that's like the first thing that I thought of when playing this game was Viva Pinata. But yeah, I'm super excited to talk about it. Again, I got the chance to go to the Nintendo preview event that was in New York was that like 2 weeks ago now? I feel like a lot of stuff has happened in
Time
those
is
2
flying.
weeks. It was the same day as the Tomodachi Life Direct, if that helps.
Okay.
So that's what the actual day was. So we literally flew out the morning of the Tomodachi Life Direct, had the preview event, checked out all the new games. So it was like Mario Tennis, Pokopia, Resident Evil, everything. And then literally went back to the hotel, recorded Tomodachi Life, and went back on a plane. So
oh my God.
to another event that was then in Chicago. So it was like there was a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
But I'm excited to talk about it. Yeah. And great to meet you two, by the way, too. Again, he was screwing up the introductions. So like already I like you two better.
Oh, thanks.
Speaking
Just
of
like our
introduction,
audience.
before we get too far, do you want to give us a little introduction about yourself and who you are, what you do, and where our listeners and viewers can find you?
Absolutely, yes. So I'm Rogers Base. I've been doing YouTube for a better part of a decade now at this point. I mostly cover Nintendo and One Piece. So if you like anime, manga, and video games, you're probably in the right place. I'm known primarily for getting really excited about Nintendo Directs and Smash Brothers reveals, but I am a massive cozy gamer. I've put like 600, 700 something hours into Animal Crossing New Horizons now after they added the Switch 2 edition and everything. And I don't know, like I feel like that is my core comfy kind of series. I grew up literally playing that with my mom on the GameCube. I've never missed a single Animal Crossing game. I then got Reagan into it, and now like everybody that I know plays Animal Crossing. So it's fun to see how everything came full circle. But I'm also a huge Pokemon fan. So when they announced they were doing a cozy game like Pokopia, I was like, this is right up my alley. I feel like I'm really going to like this. Yeah,
it's crazy because like cozy gaming has always been a thing, but like now it's like it's a buzzword and like everyone's talking about cozy gaming. And New Horizons has created a whole new like group of gamers that are playing games again, and they've gone from like New Horizons to Stardew, and they're trying out more things. And I think Pokopia could be one of those things.
I do think so, especially if you are somebody that's always liked Pokemon, but you're not into RPGs. You just don't want to have like the battle mechanics, but you love the look of the characters.
Yep.
This is I think going to be the most like cozy game centric spinoff for a Pokemon like series lover, even if you don't play the games, probably since like Pokemon Snap. I think Pokemon Snap's the only other thing I could kind of like equate this to, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think people are going to love it.
So what was this Nintendo event like? Obviously there was like other games that you were playing, but like the Pokopia thing, like how much time did you have? How was it structured?
Yeah.
Those kind of things.
So essentially the way it started is we had, it was a long demo event. They basically flew us out. We had super early call. They drove us to go to this location to play all these games. And the way it was laid out was the top floor was all of the other upcoming Nintendo titles. So we had like Mario Tennis Fever, the Virtual Boy, NSO stuff that we could demo, Mario Wonder Switch 2 edition. Resident Evil Requiem, Pragmata, like literally everything coming out for the next couple months. And then the bottom floor was all Pokopia.
Wow.
So we were in this little like cozy game section with these little stools, and they had the music playing in the background from the game. And there were these cute little standees with like the Ditto Squirtles and all the little Ditto characters, and it was cute. And then we basically sat down and played. It was like a 45-minute, I believe, segment that was essentially the opening of the game. I don't know if you're familiar with like that intro cutscene that they showed in some of the trailers, where it's like Ditto finds the Pokedex, and then you design your character, and then you go meet Professor Tangrowth, and then you meet like the original three, Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle, and that sort of like kicks you off into, you know, crafting your island and crafting your little town. We played that, and pretty much the demo ended like right after you get Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle. So you just felt you were getting into it. You know, we found a couple traces of some other Pokemon. I ran into like, I believe a Scyther and a Hitmonchan during my time. And the Hitmonchan made like a little punching bag item, and the Scyther has like the, you know, the cut ability to chop up wood. And then that was pretty much it. So it felt like we were just getting into it, and then they kind of took us out of it. And then we all left the room, came back in 10 minutes later, and all the demo kiosks were then set up for multiplayer. And essentially what happened is they created, because when you're playing multiplayer, you visit your friends' islands, right?
Yeah.
And you've decorated your islands differently than somebody else has, and you've cultivated different Pokemon and all that kind of stuff. So they basically made an island that had all these different biomes in it, essentially, so we could try out like fishing for Magikarps or flying around as Dragonite or surfing around as Lapras, you know. And so we got to do all that kind of stuff, but only one of the kiosks, essentially there were 4 TVs, and one of them was like the leader of the island and was able to turn in the missions, and everybody else was just kind of exploring and finding other Pokemon. And then we did that for probably what felt like 15 minutes, but it was more like half an hour. And then we were just out of it, and that was all we played.
Wow.
And so, you know, we talked about it a little bit before the show. You guys were saying that the preview impressions were like really, really positive, and they felt like, oh, you've got this huge world to explore. But I don't know if like the European people played longer than the people did who were in North America, or even if it was separated between like the traditional media versus the content creators. Because once we were all done, we were then ushered upstairs to go play all the other games. And so Pokopia was only like 1/3 probably of our time at this demo experience. So I'm very curious if people were brought in to only play Pokopia and then like left and actually got more time with it. Because based on my time with it, it was very cute. And I got to understand all the mechanics, and I have no doubt it's going to be a good game. But I didn't personally felt like it demoed well. I feel like it was just like we were just getting into it, and then we were already done, you know?
Yeah. That's also a tough game to demo too, because it's so open-ended. I know one of the questions, because Pokemon comes out with all these side games. They have like Pokemon Snap, but then they have like smaller things like Quest and things like that. Like, is this like a big release, or is this just like a side thing? Yeah.
No. This is going to be like a huge release. Yeah. I mean, especially even the way they're pushing it, like marketing wise in Japan. And like, I don't know if you've seen the cute little trailers they've done of it, where they have the little Pokopia song with them dancing with the Dittos. Cute. Like, it's so cute. So no, I do feel like it's probably going to be a pretty substantial experience. I mean, even just based on what I played, right? You've got the Pokedex, all the different Pokemon that you can bring to your island. I'm assuming it's going to take a really long time to cultivate even like the base island that they had us like walk around in for the multiplayer. That seemed pretty advanced. I mean, there were like houses and Pokemon centers and dance halls and all kinds of little things that they'd built up that were not present, obviously, when you're going through the tutorial of getting Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle. And there were lots of other Pokemon that were present that all do different things. You've got like Timber that has all the stuff for building. You've got, like I said, Lapras surfs around the different islands. Like, there's a lot of different things that you can do in the game, but we just didn't get the chance to really experience that many of them. There were lots of them that we saw traces of.
Yep.
So I don't know if you've seen like how the game works essentially.
No, explain it to me like I'm 5 because I feel like I know nothing and I want to know everything.
Okay. So essentially when you're walking through the island, right? When you're going through the island and exploring after you've done the tutorial, there's these little sparkles that are on the ground. And when you go to hit one of those sparkles, it'll basically give you a hint of like, you can find this Pokemon in this type of area if you create this type of biome. So sometimes there'll be a Pokemon that'll only show up that you can only become friends with and like learn their abilities if you make like a boulder with 3 little flowers around it, or you have to make like a tree with a little shaded area of grass for some of them. And there's
like
all these different variations. Exactly. Yeah. Right. Or like, I believe Hitmonchan was like the punching bag. You have to make like a punching bag thing and then Hitmonchan shows up.
Do you know exactly what kind of Pokemon it is, or is it just telling you the type?
It's like a who's that Pokemon type of thing. So you'll see like the silhouette, and then you're like, oh, I know who this is, and then you create the little trace, which is real cute. Yeah, and so you can figure out pretty quickly if you know what the Pokemon look like based on the silhouettes, like who you're gonna get from those biomes. And again, like I think people will find traces and might not necessarily want some of those Pokemon there, and will like go to other people's islands to then get traces or meet the Pokemon they have there to then try to bring them back. But something that I think is like really important that, again, I don't know if previews have brought this up, but that all of us, literally all of us, there were tons of creators at this demo event. It was like me, Philly Beats You, Party Arlie, like all of us Pokemon creators were all there hanging out, and every single one of us was like, I don't know what's going on here. Like, are we not able to turn in our missions and like unlock things in multiplayer? And they basically clarified for us that no, you do not get anything if you are visiting someone else's island. The only thing you get is meeting someone else's Pokemon to then add it to your Pokedex to then be able to bring that Pokemon into your own biome when you go home. but it's not like you don't go to it's not like an Animal Crossing thing where you go to, visit someone's little, what are they called? It's not the Dream Islands, but like the little, where you go to try to find Raymond and the other animals. It's been so long.
Like a mystery island. Yeah.
Right, exactly. The mystery islands.
Yeah.
See, my island's been perfected for 400 hours. I haven't gone back.
Of course.
But like, I feel like when you go to the mystery islands and you were looking for certain Animal Crossing characters and you would bring them back, then they would like potentially move into your village. That's not really the same case here. It's like you go to visit, but you still have to do all the work to like bring them in. So if you don't already have the right stuff to make the biome to get the Pokemon, you're not going to be able to bring them into your village. But when other people come to your island that you're building and you're able to turn in the stuff for the missions, that gives you materials to then build more stuff, create more items, craft furniture. So like, for example, when you were fishing for Magikarp, the only way to get a Magikarp is you have to set a stool nearby like a fishing pole. And then once you've made the stool and you can sit down, then you can actually fish and then you can get the Magikarp.
Very Viva
But in order to
Pinata.
craft, exactly.
Yeah.
And so in order to craft the stool, you then need the wood to get the stool, which then you need timber for, which then you need Scyther to chop it up. So again, it's like, it's this thing of figuring out. Yeah. It's like a cycle of like figuring out which Pokemon are going to be able to craft the thing that I need to craft to then bring other Pokemon in. Yeah.
So that keeps you going and you kind of always have something to do and work on.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think one of the things, I mean, a lot of people love New Horizons for many different reasons, but I think one of the things that people don't really like is the multiplayer, because it kind of seems like you just go to someone's island and you can like walk around and like maybe catch bugs or something. You had limited play with multiplayer, but was there like a sense of like a lot more to it, like interaction wise? Like what could you do? Were there limitations?
I think it's one of those things where it's like you get what you put into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like it was fun flying around with little Ditto Dragonite and like just making goof or like running up to people and punching them with Hitmonchan. Everybody was just like punching each other and knocking stuff out of each other's hands. So like I think there's room where like if you make little games for yourselves, you visit someone's island and you're like, okay, we need to craft however many stools or however many tables or whatever, and then you're trying to mess each other up by like punching people or like slicing and stealing somebody else's materials. I think that could be kind of fun. But again, it's like because you're not getting anything from the missions when you're visiting somebody else's island, you're only getting like the trace of the other Pokemon.
Yep.
I feel like once you've already gotten all the Pokemon on your island, there's not really gonna, unless you just want to see what your friend's island is going to look like, there's not really like much else to do based on what we've played. So I think that's the only thing is I feel like, I don't know, based on my limited experience, it feels almost like the majority of my time, even though they're really hyping up the multiplayer and playing with your friends, I feel like the majority of my time with this game is going to be spent single player. Because when you're crafting all this stuff on your island and you're getting all this stuff together and gathering all these materials, again, your friends can help you if you've invited them to your island, but then who's going to be the designated person that like gets the stuff, right? So it's going to have to become a roulette with your friends of like, well, you're all coming to my place today to enhance my game.
You guys are helping me today.
Right,
I'm getting the stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Now there's something interesting that came out, I believe today, because I've been seeing a bunch of people posting about this. This is from a developer interview. Now this is translated from Japanese, so like take that with a grain of salt. But
sure.
They're saying there's a new system called a cloud island. And it says, even without a host, everyone can play freely. You can join whenever you have free time and develop the island. Up to 4 people can play at the same time, but others can take turns joining in with no limit on the number of total participants. This is a completely separate system from playing in a brand new town in multiplayer. So this is like literally like a Minecraft server type of thing.
Yeah. I don't believe that was the multiplayer we played. I don't think it was like a cloud island. It was, like I said, it was a generated island that we were playing like via the little local play and like game share or whatever with other people. So yeah, I mean, that's a cool idea. I mean, it sounds like the Slumber Islands essentially that they just added to Switch 2 edition, right? Where you can go to people's different islands and like, craft things together and create things together on its own little dedicated server. I mean, that sounds super fun,
That's cool that you don't have to be there though. Like,
That's really cool.
Like Pat can go enlist his hooligans to like get stuff for him while he's like sleeping. Like, hey guys, go like get some like fish for me. Yeah, while you're cooking up how to make like Poke League with your mini games.
Sure.
Like getting your wood and things like that.
Like I like that idea. I think like the people that are still playing New Horizons are the designers, are the decorators, you know. So I think that's a smart move.
Yeah. And again, the decoration aspect of it, I think, is extremely cute. Like some of the things that they even built out on the island that we got to explore, there was like a little garden area where you could have tea with Jigglypuff, or like there was a little, like I said, there was like a little dance hall that you, in order to activate like the disco ball, you have to have little electric Pokemon that'll like power it up. So you find little Pichus or Pikachus or whatever. And there were like tons of Pokemon. I don't remember what the exact number was that was in the Pokedex, but there were definitely a lot of Pokemon that you could find around your islands to, you know, explore and figure out stuff. And again, a lot of it's in the trailers, right? Like nothing that I'm saying isn't stuff you've probably already seen in the trailers, but there were lots of other cool little Pokemon, and there were other Pokemon that we didn't run into that they specifically told us, like, if you find them, don't talk about them. And when we saw the list, we were like, oh my gosh, these are awesome.
Wow.
So I think when people discover these, that could also be really cool too. But again, I didn't even get the chance to run into them, so they were being protected for nothing, because literally I didn't even see them.
I saw somewhere it was like,
see any of the new Pokemon?
I'm trying to think of what the newest Pokemon was.
And the
Mossachio.
No, you mean like the ones that are exclusive to the game, like the Ghost Pikachu or no, we didn't run into any of them. The only one was Professor Tangrowth, because again, he's like your tutorial in the beginning of the game where he tells you like he's been in this abandoned island for years, you know, after all the humans went away, and so he's just been living here by himself, and he's hoping that with the help of Ditto, who looks like their old trainer, right, that you could try to hopefully bring humans back to this island, and then once again people and Pokemon can live together again. But so the concept is really cute, and the Ditto customization I think is pretty good as well. There's lots of different options like skin tones and hairstyles and backpacks and colors for the shirts, like, and then there's also an item, I don't know if this was talked about in any of the trailers as well. There's an item that's like a mirror that you can craft. And then once you've made the mirror, you can then freely change your look afterwards too. So like say, if you made a character and you don't like the way the character looks, you could always change that later on too. So
I did see somewhere there's like 300 Pokemon they're speculating, which is more than
that would be awesome.
ZA,
I mean, again, that's not even close to the amount that I saw. So it was like, there's clearly lots that I have left to explore and stuff. So
and then some more like info that we found out about it from these previews. The story, which this is, I think, the most controversial one, but I don't get it. 20 to 40 hour storyline, but more to do after the credits. And people were saying, that's it? And I kind of go to New Horizons, didn't even have that much story, and people have been playing it for thousands of hours. So like,
I'm like 40 seems good for
it's like a Pokemon
story of a Pokemon game. Yeah. Especially because again, I feel like the whole thing with this game is finding the Pokemon to then bring into your village so then you could do everything. But again, each of these Pokemon, they're like tools. I mean, they literally give you abilities to make things, craft other items, you know, create new trees or biomes or whatever. So I feel like the game is probably going to open up once you finish the story stuff. I feel like that's when you're actually going to get your playtime out of it. And like the kind of game that you expect this to be, I feel like is going to be after you've already done the story, which is again why I feel like I'm interested in that the people who played the previews were like, this is amazing, because I feel like again it didn't particularly demo well because we only saw 3 abilities. So unless you're basing it off of the trailers, it's like we didn't get a chance to really do much. You know?
Yeah.
Based off of the vibes, they're like, this is the vibe, and just imagine more.
And that, I will say, the vibes are on point. Like, that is something they definitely nailed. Where even when we were sitting down and previewing the game, a lot of us were wondering, because they also had the Switch 2 edition of Animal Crossing there at that preview event, and it was upstairs. When we were hearing the music that was playing off the other TVs initially, a lot of us were like, are they blasting Animal Crossing music? I mean, it literally sounds like that is what they are going for. It is very much like, if you like the vibe of Animal Crossing and you like the look of Pokemon and you like games like Viva Pinata or like Dragon Quest Builders was, I think, another really good example. This is going to be right up your alley. And I think it does merge all of those different type of gameplay experiences, but does it in a way where it feels simplified enough where even if you never really got super into any of them, you'll find something to enjoy in this one, which is, I think that's probably where the positivity of the previews came out, not the actual content that we demoed, but like, again, vibes of based on what we played, how we feel like the rest of the game is going to play like, which I completely agree with.
For sure.
Do you think there will be shiny Pokemon? Or is
I
it
hope
asking
so.
too much?
I tried asking them and they would not tell me.
Of course they would.
I asked them, they would not tell me.
Imagine them being like, yeah.
I would hope that
there has to be.
I think that would be awesome.
There has to be. I would hope there would be too.
I also imagine there's going to be people out there who's like, I only want shiny islands, and they're going to only have like the shiny Pokemon on their island and create everything. So yeah.
Do you think this could be like as big as Animal Crossing in a way, or do you think it has longevity?
Unless there's another global pandemic? I think no, it's probably not going to be as big as Animal Crossing. I think
like,
so
in
much
terms of longevity. I mean, like
no, not even close. No.
Oh. Okay.
Not even remotely close.
How long do you think are people going to be interested in this? It's coming out March 6th, 5th?
I think they'll be interested in it as long as like people are normally interested in cozy games. But I do not think like
that's not a long time.
Right. But I feel like I think this has been a thing since New Horizons, and I think this has been a whole conversation. I feel like New Horizons came out at a very specific time in the world where everybody was inside, had nothing to do, and built up their towns and visited with their friends and played Animal Crossing. And it scratched this itch to like be with people digitally that like isn't really as much of a thing anymore. So I feel like a lot of the charm of a lot of these other cozy games that they're trying to replicate, like the time of the peak of New Horizons, like you're never going to replicate it. Like I said, unless we have another global pandemic, it's just not going to be a thing. With that being said, you're still going to get I think hundreds of hours out of this if you are somebody who really likes these type of games. Like I know I'll be playing this a ton, but I think the interesting thing and the question that I'm asking myself as a content creator is like, how much is my audience going to want to play this? Is the question. Because I think content can be made out of it if you're like making guides for the characters, or like you're just having your friends over and you're making cute little collab streams of like visiting each other's islands. But I do wonder how long the novelty of that lasts for this in particular. Because again, I think there's a lot of people who are Pokemon fans who are just going to be excited to play a Pokemon game that is not an RPG. Right, to actually get to interact with these Pokemon and have these cute little experiences. But like, once you've gotten the Pokemon's ability, right, you can have them follow you around and you could do little cute things. But I don't know really if like the depth is there for multiplayer stuff, like I said, as much as it is for single player. Because again, you can help your friends like build up their islands and go visit them. But the actual aspect of like getting the crafting materials to make your own stuff, again, that's relegated to the person that's hosting the island. So I really think it depends on like, if you've got an audience that's willing to like just come help you and hang out for like 6 hours as you're building out a project, you're building a dance hall or building a Pokemon center or whatever, versus, just like playing by yourself and having a good time with it. And I feel like I'll test the waters a little bit and do some streams and just see how people feel. But I very much feel personally that this is going to be something I'm mostly going to want to play by myself. And I actually will probably not want to play with other people. Yeah.
And also has the hurdle of like being exclusively on the Switch too. So it's not as accessible. I know a lot. We'll get to that a little bit after. Another sort of controversial thing, or like mixed opinions on it, at least. I don't know if you experienced this, but they revealed that the time will be like real time. Like it'll be synced like Animal Crossing. So, so no matter when you're playing it, it'll be 140 right now or whatever.
That's cute. I actually like that. Wait, that's controversial? People don't like that?
Well, people are saying, so I'll only get to play this at night then, because like they work or whatever.
Bro, the same people complaining are the same ones who were time traveling during New Horizons.
Literally.
Shut up.
Like, it's me.
It's literally the same
I complained because I was like, wait, I can't do 100 days in Pokopia. That's like my whole thing.
But just change the time on your Switch. You're chilling.
I will. And I will.
Yeah. It's fine. Yeah.
It should be fine.
Yeah, you're totally fine. I feel like I think that aspect of it didn't really come into play when I was like playing the game. I don't think there might be certain Pokemon, again, I don't know because it was a limited demo experience. There might be certain Pokemon that are relegated to like only showing up at nighttime. Like I'm imagining like a Murkrow or like an Umbreon or something versus like daytime, maybe getting like an Espeon or like what's something else that's like a daytime kind of Pokemon. Like I didn't run any of these. I'm just guessing like what like a Sunkern or a Sunflora or something like that. You know, like right. Like I do wonder if maybe there are time specific Pokemon. But again, if that's the case, if there's a Pokemon you really want, just change the time on your Switch. Like it's not.
So the demo that you played, was it always just sunny? Because I know that there's also rain and obviously nighttime.
For the I really don't even remember. Again, it was like very bare bones. It was the kind of thing where we just played the tutorial of the game, got through, started building up a little bit of our island, and we were done. And then once we were in the multiplayer, I don't believe there were any other weather conditions. Okay. I remember it being pretty sunny and like flying around and, like I said, seeing the little garden area and fishing for Magikarps and things like that. But no, for the most part, I feel like the depth of like the weather and the nighttime stuff, that wasn't something we got to explore really at all, at least in my demo experience. Again, I don't know what it was like in, other countries. Like I know you guys mentioned Eurogamer, that they got to play for a long time or something. Maybe they had an extended demo session. Yep. But for those of us that were at the New York event, like I said, this was like one segment of a much greater event of like playing a bunch of other games, and it was a giant dedicated portion. It was clear that like the whole floor being dedicated to Pokopia and like inviting a lot of us that are cozy game people and who like Pokemon, like they did definitely have an idea in mind of like what they wanted us to focus on for this. But again, it was one chunk of an overall greater like demo experience. Yeah.
I know one of the things, especially for like our kind of community where it's like not super, diehard Nintendo fans, but like a lot of Animal Crossing fans, people that haven't made the, no pun intended, but switch to Switch 2. They haven't upgraded yet. This is, I think, the first game that's kind of making this community be like, should I? And like, I'm always on board with, I think it's worth it. And like it makes your existing Switch games a lot better. They perform better. Do you think this is a big enough reason to upgrade? I mean, with everything else.
I mean, I thought it was a big enough reason to upgrade when Donkey Kong came out. Genuinely. Like, I know Donkey Kong doesn't appeal to, like, a lot of cozy game people necessarily, but, like, Donkey Kong was so good, and that came out, like, it blew my expectations out of the water without spoilers. If people haven't beaten it yet, it was like, I really was blown away by how good that game was. And I feel like, I don't know, there's this section of Nintendo fans, which you might not necessarily experience as much if y'all are more like just general cozy game of like playing on Steam Decks and Switches and PlayStation. But like among Nintendo fans specifically, I'm seeing so many of them who are like, yeah, but there's no 3D Mario yet, so I don't want a Switch 2. And it's like the benefit of Switch 2 to me was never like just the next mainline Mario. It's like the fact that all of these games that I really enjoy playing on Switch run better and are better on Switch 2. Like I think Animal Crossing in particular has been awesome. Where like they added that free update where you can do like the multi-crafting and you've got the hotel and you've got all this other stuff. Like I am somebody who again has spent like 400, 500 hours in that original version of Animal Crossing, who's already put another 100 hours into it since this Switch 2 edition has come out. It really has like enhanced my experience of the game. I'm now making like a full outdoor Nintendo museum area with all the cute little items.
Cute.
Like I'm collecting all this stuff in the hotel. Like I'm really thoroughly enjoying my time with it. And obviously like a lot of that stuff you could still experience on Switch because it was part of the free update. But for like $5, you get the full Switch 2 edition that's like 4K visuals and it runs better when you're loading in multiplayer and you have like 12 people that can come to your island. So like that aspect of it I felt was like totally worth it as somebody who's an Animal Crossing fan. But I also feel like going back to what I was mentioning earlier with these Nintendo fans who like only want to play Nintendo games, I feel like there have been so many third-party games that have been like significantly enhanced by Switch 2 that like run so much better on Switch 2 that people aren't even like really discussing. Yeah. And so I feel like, again, the benefit of Switch 2 for me has never been like having that one killer app. The killer app is going to help you get over the hurdle of like, I have to buy a whole new system. But I think the thing that's like the reason to buy a Switch 2 now is the fact that it makes all your other games pretty much like run better. And then it's got more storage on it and like it's, future proofed. Also, we don't know what's going to be happening this year. I feel like there's a lot of discussion of potentially like a price hike going on with like the memory stuff with PlayStation, that they're going to be lasting longer with their generations. Switch 2 might end up getting a price hike at some point this year. So I feel like if you're debating it, I feel like it's probably better to bite the bullet now and get it if there's a game you're interested in than like waiting, ending up getting a price hike for the system and being like, why didn't I buy it when Pokopia came out? Now I'm spending another $50 on this thing that I was debating getting before. So yeah.
There's so many, like, especially third-party games, like you were saying, like whatever games had like uncapped frame rates on Switch 1 are now 60.
Huge difference.
Like, it's
like,
crazy.
Have y'all played the Stardew Valley Switch 2 edition yet?
It's
and
great.
Seen like all the enhancements in that? It's awesome.
The mouse
it's
controls.
really, really good. Yes. Like having mouse controls built in with the Joy-Con 2s is such a game changer. Like for that game in particular, especially if you played a lot on PC, it's just cool to like be on your couch and like use mouse mode on your knee while you got your dog sitting there and your little tea and you got your nice little blanket. It's a good vibe, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot of stuff like that people aren't really taking into consideration when it comes to Switch 2. But no, going back to your initial question of like, is Pokopia the big reason to get it? I think if you like cozy games and you like Pokemon at all, like, yes, I think it is. And as we move further into this year, it's like we're going to get the next generation of Pokemon this year. Fire Emblem's coming. So for the girlies that like their dating sims, it's like you're going to get your dating sim itch with your strategy gameplay with Fire Emblem. Like there's going to be stuff for you, you know, this year where it's probably, like I said, worth it to get it now before a price hike potentially happens than worrying about it later on.
And I want to say, like, probably Rhythm Heaven and Tomodachi Life are, like, going to be the final Switch 1 games from Nintendo, anyway.
And those, I think, will also probably run better on Switch 2.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because, again, they're naturally... They haven't announced, like, any Switch 1 to Switch 2 upgrades for those yet. And I don't believe either of those games have dedicated Switch 2 editions.
No.
But, like, I think already, just based on gameplay of, like, other Switch games, playing them on Switch 2... just they'll naturally run better on Switch 2.
Yeah.
Tomodachi Life is another interesting one too. And I think this goes back to, I believe it was Payton who mentioned the idea of like how long this game is going to last, Pokopia in particular. I think it depends on how much people dive into Tomodachi Life, because these are very, very similar games in terms of like crafting your island and being cozy games specifically dedicated to like Nintendo fans, that I could easily see a world in which people like really get hardcore into Pokopia for all of March, and the second April hits and Tomodachi Life comes around, hard dropping Pokopia. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, because Tomodachi Life
I think
has
there's
that
like
interaction and like, I mean, Pokopia does too, because you're a Pokemon talking with other Pokemon. Can you say anything about that dialogue? Was it pretty straightforward, or
it was like the most bare bones? I'm Charmander. Okay. I can spark a fire. It's like, okay, buddy, that's cool. You know, it wasn't like Charmander was walking around and being like, "Hey, buddy, nice scorching day today, right? Let's go down to the." You know, there was no like cute Animal Crossing-esque dialogue in it. You know, it was very much like, I am this Pokemon that can do this thing. Oh, thank you so much for making my favorite biome. This is so cool. I love being with my friends. Yeah. You know, it's very bare bones from what I played. Yeah.
It's for the decorators, pretty much.
Yeah, right.
I forget if you mentioned this, but did you say how big the island is, or did it expand over time, or like what do you know about that?
So the island, it seemed pretty massive. Like the one that they had crafted, that was the one that like we could demo and explore in, I think is the size of all the other standard islands that you're going to have. In that one island alone, there were like 3 major islands that they built that were all very different from each other, that all had different things going on. And I'm assuming that once you're really getting into building your island, like you could make pretty much your own little country of a bunch of different Pokemon in this. I mean, it's like it felt very vast. It felt like if you were going out of your way to like decorate everything and make your own little islands and make everything look good, it's going to take you a really, really long time. Like, you know how with the decorators in New Horizons, a lot of the time people will decorate something really, really nicely, and then to make like a horizon in the background, they'll just like create water for 1/3 of their island and then have like the stuff in the back. And it's kind of a nice way of being like, my island looks really varied, but I don't have the time to build everything else out. I feel like that's going to happen a lot with this, where like people are making their islands and building things and like, I don't know if I have the time to really cultivate other stuff. So let's just put water over here. Like, let's, you know. So I think there's going to be a lot of that. But no, it was very vast. Like, I feel like you can easily get lost and spend a lot of time on your islands decorating everything and, you know, getting all the Pokemon on your island that you want. So, yeah.
Awesome. Did you get to experience anything like with verticality? Like, I know Minecraft, you can literally just dig down.
Yes. Yeah, there was one area in particular where it was like you were digging through these caverns, essentially, that was on one of the little islands that they had built out for us, essentially. But there was like a town, and then there was a cavern inside the town that actually felt very like Stardew or Harvest Moon, where you're like crafting and digging through the ground with, I think it was the Drillbur ability. He's the one that like the rototiller or whatever. If it's not Drillbur or whatever, you'll play the game in a month. You'll know what I'm talking about. But like, you're able to basically dig through the walls, and then you can move your way up. And then at the very top of where this cavern was, they had built out like a little bell tower thing with like this little garden. And so it was really nice. And it does seem like, yeah, you can, depending on like, you know, what your island layout is going to be, it does seem like you could build out things vertically and, you know, have really cool little islands where you have little peaks and mountains and, you know, special little areas to go visit. So, yeah. Now, I didn't build any of that myself. Again, obviously that was something that they made for us, but it was definitely there. And so we were able to explore it.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because there was a part of the demo where they did, like you said, like build up like a very like far into the future because the game takes a while. They're not just going to like show you early game stuff. We want to know about the items, man, because like Animal Crossing, the designing, some cozy games have come out with great designing, but there's only a few items. So like based on what you saw, was there a lot of variety? And
I mean, again, it was like a very early portion of the game. I feel like in the early portion of the game, it was literally like a mirror, a stool, a punching bag, you know. But as we were getting deeper into it and like the pre-made one, which I'm assuming is probably after that island is like beaten the story, right? So like after you've done the 20 to 40 hour thing where you've unlocked a lot of stuff, that seemed a lot more varied. There were like different types of benches. Like I said, there was a garden little area with lots of things you can cultivate. The biomes were very diverse as well, like the different trees that you could make versus the different little patches of grass, the different types of flowers. Like I think the variety is definitely there in terms of decoration. If you're looking to like make themed islands or have like a variety of different little areas in your towns, I think that won't be a problem at all. I think people are going to find a lot of fun with that. Yeah.
Dude, so, Min is going to have an all pink Pokemon island and it's going to be crazy.
That'll be awesome though.
Amazing.
I love it.
Yeah. Have your Jigglypuffs and your Igglybuffs or whatever, all the pink Pokemon, right?
But like you said, Roger, like this is for me because I don't really like the main games of Pokemon. I don't really like doing the turn-based and sometimes it feels so long and like but I do like how they look and I just want to play with the cute little Pokemon. So this is like really a smart idea, I think.
Yeah. I think you are exactly who they are targeting with this, I think. Like that is exactly the type of person they want because they know the Pokemon people are going to buy it. They know the Nintendo fanboys are going to buy it. But I think they want the people who, again, like the aesthetic of Pokemon, but don't like the gameplay, but love the gameplay of cozy games. And that is a huge market right now. I think like the one prediction I will make in terms of like sales, I think this is going to blow a lot of games out of the water. I think this is going to be like a immediate top selling game on Switch 2. Like if you look at some of the sales already for the Nintendo financials over the course of the last 8 months, right? You've got Switch 2 being the fastest selling video game system of all time. Switch has now overtaken the DS as like the best selling Nintendo system of all time. And you look at even like some of the sales numbers for Pokemon Legends ZA, right? Which is like a main game, but the Legends games are even more niche compared to like the main generations. And that's already sold. I think it was like 13 million or 14 million, which is crazy when the system is only sold like 18 million units. So like you add to that, right? Like you've got Mario Kart that's already sold like 14 million something as well. You've got like Kirby only charted for like 3 weeks and already sold like 1 million in Japan alone.
It's crazy.
So like, again, there's a lot of big stuff that I think you're going to see coming out of Pokopia where like I could see this trend of Pokopia selling people onto the system and then people just like looking for other games on their Switch 2 and being like, oh, what's this cute Kirby racing game? I'm going to want to try that. And like Kirby Air Rider's getting a sale bump or like even, setting the motion in place for the next major generation of Pokemon where people who then play Pokopia who didn't initially like some of those earlier Pokemon games, potentially then being willing to give the next generation of Pokemon a try because they've enjoyed Pokopia. Sure. And with the 30th anniversary and the big push that they're making for, all these new games and the celebration of the franchise as a whole, I think that's very much like their intention with this is getting new people into the franchise and then hooking them before that next generation drops. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're getting on to speculative territory, so this isn't like Roger doesn't know this, but I wanted to ask about updates because Pokemon is actually pretty good about updating their games. Like whenever they have Pokemon Presents, like literally every single game gets updated. What's that game? The 4v4 basketball?
Oh, Pokemon Unite. Pokemon
Unite. I don't know why I didn't know. But yeah, they even update like Unite a bunch. So in terms of this game, what do you think? Just adding new Pokemon? Could they add in events, or like what do you think with this one?
I honestly don't know. If we're like speculating, I actually don't think this is going to be something they're going to be like actively updating. I could maybe see a world in which they do DLC or something, but it seems like there's enough content in this based even off of like what I've played and them saying it's like 40 hours and knowing all the different like decorations that are in there in the Pokemon. I don't know necessarily. I think they'd be leaving money on the table if they didn't do DLC, but I don't necessarily think they will like update this for years and years and years. I think maybe we'll get like one DLC pack or something like later on down the line if they want to, you know, reinvigorate some life into it, or maybe like once the next generation of Pokemon comes out, that might be a good way to cross promote of like putting the new Pokemon. Right. Something like that. I could definitely see them doing something like that, but I don't think this is going to live as a platform the same way like their free-to-play games do, like your Pokemon Unites or your TCG Pockets or things like that. I think this is very much like, which is a good thing in my opinion, this is very much like a built-made game that you can enjoy and experience. You don't have to like go do a bunch of other stuff or like wait for updates for. I think it's very much like made for the purpose of being able to enjoy, you know, hundreds of hours of gameplay in it already without having to like wait for new content. Yeah.
Do you guys have any other questions?
I do. Okay, but I don't know that much about it, so I'm sorry that this is stupid. So I know some people. Okay,
nothing
listen,
stupid. You're good.
I'm the least Nintendo girl on the panel. I know people have taken issue with this being like not being a card. What is the problem? What?
A key card thing. For sure.
What are your thoughts on that? Because I know someone will comment, well, I like the game, but I don't want to get it because it's not an actual thing.
Then don't buy it. Is what I should tell you. Don't buy it. Like literally, I think that is the silliest thing. I understand. I think there's a very valid criticism with the game key cards and like the prices of the games. I don't think like I would never say like that is stupid for you to like not want it. But like if that's something that's truly a thing holding you back, that you want a physical version and you just don't want to have it digital, like then just don't buy it. Like, I think that's the thing with Pokemon fans in general, is you see this time and time again. You'll see this like with Sword and Shield, where they complained about the Pokedex when that came out on Switch. You saw this with Scarlet and Violet with like the gameplay issues, right? That there was like all the different weird frame drops that happened with the original version of that game. You see that with ZA, right? Where people were complaining about like the PNG windows on the buildings. And guess what? People still bought those games and like bought them in droves, and they were best-selling games. So it's like, put your money where your mouth is. I think a lot of these people who complain are like still buying the games anyway and then complaining about it. It's like, if you don't want the game on a game key card, then don't buy the game.
Are you really going to skip it? Like, it's not something they're going to go back on either. I don't think they're going to make
And again, this is one of those few games where I feel like, and again, I can't speak to everybody, but I know with Animal Crossing, with Smash Brothers, with like Suika game, there's certain games I like having on my Switch at all times. I don't want to put the cartridge in and out. I like having it so that I could just click whenever I'm traveling or on the go or whatever and just open up the game. This very much feels like that type of game. You know, like Pokopia is something you're going to want to be spending a lot of time in and building things out in. So I kind of would always want it on my Switch anyway. So I don't know. I feel like the idea of like swapping in and out a card just seems like pointless to me. I'd rather just have it downloaded on my Switch, you know? Yeah.
I'm like that too. I always just have digital games, but I know that with this game, that's been something that I've been hearing people talk about. And
yeah, for sure.
But you think in the end, people are gonna probably.
I know in the end, people are gonna buy it anyway. That's not even. I think your average consumer, the person that's not like a content creator online, or like the people even like leaving comments on YouTube, right? I think your average consumer does not know or care about the difference between a physical card and a game key card. They're just like, I'm buying this game in stores. I'm going to play this game. Oh, I have to download it. All right, fine. And that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I really think they're thinking about it more.
You have to do with most games anyway. Like, even a game that is on the cartridge is not really preserved after the first update.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many games that have like giant downloads afterwards that you have, or like DLC, you know, that's separate, that obviously the DLC, unless they create a special version of the game that has the DLC on the cartridge, that's still something that's downloaded too. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm okay with my game just being digital. Like, it's just easier for me at this point. Like, I don't care. But I understand that some people get fed up
I think
about that.
the worry for people was like, oh, Pokemon isn't directly Nintendo, but it's like Nintendo adjacent. So like, is Nintendo going to start doing this? And if they do, they do, but like, I don't see that.
I mean, if they do, they do as well, but I don't think that's going to be the case either.
No,
I think like first party Nintendo. Yeah. Also, like, I don't think we're going to be in a world where like the next mainline. I mean, we're going to find out in a week and a half, I guess, when Pokemon Presents drops for Pokemon Day. But like, I also don't think we're in a world in which the next mainline generation of Pokemon is going to be on a game key card. I think that's going to be something that's like the cartridge as well. But we'll see. Only time will tell. But again, this is a third party developed game and not a first party developed game. And I think that's kind of the differentiator here. So
yeah. Well, that all sounds exciting. Like, I'm even more excited about it. So good.
Again, I think it's going to be good.
It's like times 20. I'm like, I was already so excited, but now I'm like, oh, this is going to be like a really big thing.
Yeah. And again, I'm happy because again, when we started this, I was worried when people were saying like, oh, the previews are really positive. And I was mentioning like, again, my time with the demo, I feel like I really didn't get a chance to experience things. But as we're talking through it and like the vibes of the game and my general overall thoughts as I was playing it, they were ultimately very positive. So I do think like people are very much going to enjoy this game. And I do think if you are a cozy gamer looking for like a Switch 2 dedicated reason to buy the new system, I do think this is going to be the game. And then again, while you're already there, get that, Switch 2 $5 upgrade or whatever for Animal Crossing, dive into re-downloading some of your games that were on your Switch that run better and have like free Switch 2 enhancements, right? Like there's so many games that have free Switch 2 upgrades that you could just download right away and be able to play on your Switch 2. So
a lot of them aren't even marketed either. They're just like
better. A lot of them aren't. No, they just shadow dropped one from Metal Gear the other day. They were like, they announced the new Metal Gear Solid collection and they were like, oh yeah, now all these games run 60 FPS on Switch 2. And it's like, I didn't know that was even going to be a thing. So this is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of like games that have already been out, like check the eShop because like Stardew is a free upgrade. You just download it. So a lot of games just have free ones. So
which is awesome. Yeah. Stardew. And it's not even that it's just like a free Switch 1 to Switch 2 upgrade. It's a full Nintendo Switch 2 edition that is free if you own Stardew Valley on Switch, which is great. Yeah.
Sweet. Any other questions?
Awesome.
I think that's
anything
good.
we forgot to cover, Roger, that you wanted to say about
I'm trying to think. I feel like for the most part, we pretty much hit everything. I think people are really going to enjoy it. And I think if you're, again, a cozy gamer that's always wanted to get into Pokemon, I think this is definitely going to be the game for you. Only other thing I would say, is I didn't even consider before talking to you three about the idea of like DLC in the future. And if they would actually add more content to this, because again, it seems like there was a vast amount of content already. But as we were talking about it, and I thought about that thing with like, oh yeah, they probably are going to add new Pokemon for whatever the new generation is as like another DLC thing.
I think the starters would be like a slam dunk.
That's just, it's an easy slam dunk. Whether or not that's paid DLC, I think is up in the air. That's something that, is a whole debate. But no, again, I think this is going to sell very, very well. I think the only big question is like time will tell if people stick with this after Tomodachi drops. Because I'm still kind of confused that they're dropping this in March and then Tomodachi in April, and they didn't kind of separate those out a little bit more, because these are very much the same audience. The people who are going to play these games are going to play both of these games. So, yeah,
for sure. Well, thank you so much for joining us and talking about Pokopia. That launches next month on the 5th.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was a blast.
Video on it or anything that you want to plug?
I actually did. Yeah, I did a Pokemon Presents prediction video last week, which was talking about all the things that I think we're going to see during that Pokemon Presents, because in general, I think if you're somebody who, again, just like Min was saying, like, I don't really like the mainline RPGs, but I like the aesthetic of Pokemon, I think this is going to be a really good Presents for you, because there's a lot of big things I know they're planning for the 30th anniversary, and that I think we could potentially see here, whether it's like new films or Netflix shows or like theme parks. A weird thing that not a lot of people are talking about right now is that Universal quietly announced that Pokemon is coming as a permanent fixture in Universal Studios Japan. And they just opened Poke Park Kanto, which is that cute little But that's not really a theme park. That's like a park with statues where like you take photos with Pokemon. It's cute. Like aesthetically, it's very cute, but it's not like an actual theme park.
Yeah.
This Universal announcement is like an actual theme park. And
cool.
there have been rumors for a long time that something is going to replace that Simpsons area in Universal now that, Disney owns the rights to Fox and Simpsons isn't as big of a franchise anymore. And it does seem like the stars are kind of aligning with this Pokemon thing coming up and with Nintendo World already being there in the Universal parks, that like Pokemon could potentially fit nicely in that slot, and they could replicate a lot of those buildings. You could easily like convert Moe's Tavern into like a Pokemon Center or something and have the dark ride that's already there with Simpsons be some type of dark ride for Pokemon. So time will tell, but I do think there's going to be a lot of really exciting announcements during the Pokemon Presents.
Do we get the classic
games?
Hear
my predictions?
Do we get some classic games?
Okay, hot take. I've seen people talking about the Fire Red Leaf Green rumor that's like going to get re-released as a $30 thing. I think that is a waste if they end up doing that, because I would love the option to have like permanently purchased versions of these games, but there's already a better version of Gen 1 that you could play right now on Switch, and that's Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. So why would you play Fire Red Leaf Green? Like other for vibes, for vibes maybe. But I think like Gen 1, I could see them maybe releasing on Game Boy NSO, like the original generation for the 30th anniversary. But I think people who are expecting like Gen 1, 2, and 3 to all get thrown on there, I keep dreaming, buddy. You know, I don't think that's happening. They already announced Pokemon Coliseum and Pokemon XD are coming to GameCube.
Yep.
Like they've been announced.
Bangers.
So they could maybe shadow drop those.
Yep.
But in terms of like some of the older games, I don't necessarily think we're going to see them. As cool as it would be just to have a re-release. I know some people would be happy to have Fire Red and Leaf Green.
You think we get any like Pokopia info? I mean, it's close to launch.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're going to get like your launch trailer. There has to be.
Asking like a new trailer or like some new info.
Absolutely. I think there's going to be like a dedicated like 5 to 10 minute segment just on Pokopia.
Good.
I mean, this is a huge spinoff for them. This is something they're clearly marketing a lot. Like they're really pushing this as like the next big game. I think it would be silly for them to not have a giant segment dedicated to this. So I would fully expect new gameplay, new Pokemon, maybe even some of the new like you mentioned Mosslack or whatever. Like there's like Mosslack, Smeargle, whatever. I could see a lot of stuff like that ends up getting shown off in this too. So
sweet.
Yeah, I think if you're looking for Pokopia news, that's definitely going to be happening next week.
Okay, so we are waking up then.
You're waking up.
We'll have to mark our calendar.
Oh, you gotta
have
wake up.
To,
You gotta wake up.
I might
have
wake
to
up.
watch
Pat stream.
I know. I'll probably just watch Pat, but I'll wake up. Well, I'll be watching you now too, because I want to see all the reactions. Let's go.
I will absolutely be reacting. Yeah, like when do they normally do them? Like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. I'll be up.
Something cuckoo your time.
Your time is gonna be normal.
I'm complaining about waking up. You gotta wake up so early.
Right. You're like, I gotta get up at 8 a.m. I'm like, I get up at 5, buddy.
Yeah, but you said you're known for your reactions, so
I probably will pop off, especially with like. We're almost guaranteed to see the next big Pokemon generation during this.
For sure.
I don't think it's almost. I mean, it's a guarantee. We're going to. It's the 30th anniversary. So I think just for that alone, I am so excited because my assumption is not only the starters, but like what the game is going to look like on Switch 2, right? Because I think that's still a debate right now among people where there's some people who think it's still going to be a Switch game. I don't think so. I think this is fully. I think the next generation is fully made for and will exclusively release on Switch 2, which goes back to that conversation we had earlier of like, if you've been waiting, maybe don't wait because there might be a price hike depending on those memory shortages. Maybe get it alongside Pokopia so that if you want to get Gen 10 later in the year, you don't have to spend an extra $50 or whatever if the price hike does end up happening. So
yeah, Nintendo's not going to be as nice going forward. Like it's going to be exclusive stuff. So
yeah, definitely. And there's still smaller things like again your Tomodachi Lives, your Rhythm Heavens. They'll still be there. There'll be stuff for you on Switch or like Pokemon Champions, which is that battle simulator. That's already been announced for Switch, so like that will be there too.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the big mainline stuff, your Pokopias and your Gen 10s are going to be Switch 2 exclusive. Yeah.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Thank you again, Roger, for joining us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was a pleasure. Great way to start my day. Yeah.
Go check out Roger.
Thank you so much.
If you haven't. Sure. Cool.
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah. And we'll be back with even more. All right.
Right on. All right. Thanks, you guys.